I would say that most of the time when a game that looks very good is met with poor reception, it's because we set our expectations too high because we boarded the hype train at full steam. But every now and again, a developer doesn't really present their game to be true to what it actually is. So this week, I'm going to talk about what went wrong with one of the more recent games, and find the bright side of Sword Coast Legends. So the biggest problem that this game faced was its own marketing campaign. It was essentially being touted as a Dungeons & Dragons simulator for the 5th edition rule set, in much the same way that the original Neverwinter Nights and Baldur's Gate games were meant to be simulators of the older rule sets. However, unlike Neverwinter Nights or Baldur's Gate, the game did not even have a relatively similar skill setup, treating it much more like a Dragon Age game in terms of skill trees and gameplay. This leads into more of the problems that people had with it, such as the character alignments being just about meaningless to actual interactions or gameplay. Now this may seem like a minor qualm, and it kinda is, but with Dungeons & Dragons being so driven by a character's alignment, you would think this game would have a bit more going for it in that department. In addition, while they did have a Dungeon Master mode where you could create adventures for up to 4 of your friends, the actual tools were missing quite a few things, like a larger variety of monsters. But I don't think these realms should be forgotten just yet. There's plenty of light in the darkness. Like the voice acting.
Yeah, these guys weren't your normal starving, no skills, hit like a pillow fight bandits.
Which is phenomenal in this game. You can tell that the people recording the lines took pride in their work and wanted to deliver their lines as best as they could. Then there's the gameplay itself. It may seem more like a Dragon Age game, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Dragon Age always had a pretty good combat system and knew how to make skill trees that helped you to make a character play the way you wanted it to. Another point is that even though the DM tools were lacking, it's still always a great thing to have access to be able to make adventures for your friends in an RPG. Particularly when you can use those same tools to adjust the adventure on the fly to make it more brutal or easier on them depending on the group you're running with. Now the last point I want to touch on with this video is aimed towards the developers. I know you have to hype your games up for people to get excited and buy them, but just remember to not go overboard and claim your game is something it isn't. It'll usually be better received and the community won't rage nearly as hard. Well, that's all for now everyone. If you like this video, go ahead and hit those like and subscribe buttons, and if you want to discuss this game further or have any other games you want brightened up, feel free to leave a comment in the sections below. Thanks for watching everyone, and until next time, keep gaming.